This is James Luckton. I'm delighted to be joined with Johnathon Banks on Zoom today. Jonathan, how are you?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for joining me today.
No problem.
I'm going to talk a little bit of boxing, as always. Speak about a fight that you was involved in a long time ago now, and that was Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte. You was in the corner with Dillian Whyte. The reason I want to bring this up is because there's a lot of talk about a potential rematch between the two later on this year. Should Anthony Joshua get past Jermaine Franklin next weekend, and Dillian Whyte potentially got a fight coming up soon as well. If he gets through that, the pair may be back on a collision course once again. Just take me back to that fight. First of all, obviously, it was a while ago, 2015, 16, around that sort of time.
Something like that.
Talk to me about working with Dillian. What was he like to train?
Um, Dylan is a very talented heavyweight. I take nothing away from that. I don't think he realizes how tough he is, but I think his talent is higher than he may even view it. And when I first ever worked with him, he was in Klitschko's camp. And Vladimir wanted to send him home. He said, he's not right. He's not doing this, doing that. I said, let me talk to him. Let me work with him. And let's see if we can make a difference. He said, okay. So I started working with him. I told him, I seen his ability and I wanted him to go off his ability more than just rough toughness. And Vladimir looked at me. He said, "Dude, keep him. I love him." He said, "I love the way he boxes now. He's completely different." So that's what I mean when I say he's just got different talents. He comes in. He's really fighting off his toughness and his grit. But in my opinion, I just think the kid is really talented. And if he was to open up, well, he couldn't do it. Someone else would have to open up and explore more of his talent. Then I think he's a difficult fight for anybody to get in the ring with. He's a difficult fight for anybody, regardless. But by exploring more, opening up more of his talent, he would beat just about anybody he would get in there with.
In terms of that first fight, there was a bit of tempers are flared. There's a bit of personal rivalry between the pair. And at one point in the fight, the bell had gone for the end of the round, and they're still going at it. You had to get in and pull Dillian away yourself. What is it like as a trainer to get your fighter to keep their cool in a hot-headed situation like that?
Well, it was difficult because it was difficult from the announcement of the fight. It was difficult from that point on to all the way into the night of the fight because that was his first major fight, and he was getting there with a guy that, in his mind, he just didn't like at all. And my opinion on that is, I said, don't let anger force the fight. I said you have to have a calm, cool, collective head so you can actually calculate what's going on in the fight. So you don't just like do an outburst like it was in, I believe, the second round or something like that, where he almost cost himself money and everything else. He almost got a disqualification. So I just a matter of how I was taught by the late Gertie Van Stewart that usually cooler heads prevail. When you can calm, sit back and calculate and think, those guys usually figures out how to break you down instead of just, because if you go off of just anger, 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 you it may work for you, but you may get caught with something you don't see. And that's what we don't I don't base anything off of what may work. I'm training the guy off of what may not work. That's why we in the ring. That's why we in camp. Because what may not work is this, and that. So that's why we in camp working.
If the pair do rematch, say later on this year, you've watched them both from afar. How do you see the rematch going?
It's really, really difficult to say right now because from their first fight, both have suffered losses that no one saw coming. Both have been stopped on occasions that no one thought they would be stopped. So for me, it's really difficult to say. I really couldn't have it. As of right now, I honestly don't have an opinion about it. But it's just difficult for me to comment about it. I would like to see how the first couple rounds go to figure out which version of the athlete is going to enter in the ring. You know, is going to be something where Whyte presses the issue for a brawl, or will it be a situation where AJ chooses to box? Like, we don't know. So it's difficult for me to give and render an opinion about that, because both have significantly changed since they first meet.
Absolutely.